watch this. What is this?
With third cheater, and this is a wrap up to a big one that has been mulled over for the past month or so. A Wall Street Journal article came out about the Hans Niemann chess cheating scandal. The thing that was on every single tabloid, every single newspaper, because the whole anal bead meme now has a little bit more bite to the story. Chess Investigation finds that U.S. Grandmaster likely cheated more than 100 times. This was released in conjunction with a chess.com article that was 72 pages long.
Exactly, yep.
Of how Hans cheated way more than he let on. Quick background, this is Hans Niemann, 19-year-old chess GM and chess prodigy who beat the best chess player in the world, Magnus Carlsen. Magnus Carlsen soft called out Hans for cheating, then fully called out Hans for cheating. Hans came out and said, yeah, I cheated twice when I was 12 and 16 online only. Don't be weird about it. And then chess.com was like, oh, stop. You cheated a shit ton. In fact, over 100 more times than you admitted to. And you can see all of them right here.
Jeez.
Now, you kind of just have to trust the word of chess.com. They have a very accurate cheating detection tool. This is, again, for online only. Online games only. These are all the games that he cheated in. So, you know, in this tournament, there was 9 games. He cheated in 9 of them, 10 of 10, 12 of 32. He was also streaming, by the way, in 25 of the games, which the audacity to cheat while streaming, beyond me. He cheated in very widely viewed games against
This is true too, yeah.
Who's competing to be the world champion, and Danya, who's a chess creator. So wild stuff. Lot more cheating than he admitted to.
Very true.
But it doesn't prove that he cheated over the board. It doesn't prove that he cheated in the events that Magnus thought he might have been cheating in. It only proves that he cheated a shit ton more online, and maybe you can draw conclusions based off the content of his character. If he's willing to cheat online, maybe he's willing to cheat in person. But there's no hard evidence of that. All the evidence is kind of like, well, he got good really fast, weirdly fast. So you kind of have to point to statistical anomalies. This is a graph that shows from the age of 11 to 19 and a quarter, which I guess is how old he is now. Nobody has improved faster than Hans Niemann, including Bobby Fischer and Magnus Carlsen. So kind of a statistical anomaly. Seems like he's on a clear pace to be world champion if it is legit. There's also this a guy who analyzed every classical game of Magnus Carlsen from January 2020 using ChessBase, which tracks all those games, and then compared them to all of Hans Niemann's games.
Although, but this is back to a tool, though.
Played at 100%, and 2 other games that were played above 90%, comparing to like what a computer would do, which are like a million times smarter than humans. Hans, in that same stretch of time, had 10 games at 100%, 23 games above 90%. Is that conclusive evidence?
Oh, yeah. So
no.
You guys, why is everyone interested in the chess drama? I think I'll start right there. The reason I think that everyone's interested in the chess drama is because it's something that's really exploded over the last couple of weeks. There is nothing that is conclusive. There are a lot of suspicions, obviously, but nothing is conclusive. I think everybody's wondering like what is going to happen with the whole thing, and that's why people like Ludwig is covering it, obviously XQC and others, and it's obviously quite interesting as well when you look at a lot of these different statistical methods that people are using. Some of them I think are legitimate, some are obviously very much on the edge, if not outright not true at all.
But it's a little bit of a statistical anomaly. Now, it is worth mentioning that Magnus Carlsen did have his app bought for 83.
By the way, just to be clear, out of all this stuff, I do believe chess.com. Like, I don't think there is, I mean, as they said in the report, I don't think there's any collusion with Magnus. But all that aside, it is completely insane that all this had to happen now. Like, imagine, for example, that Danny and Eric and chess.com, they play Magnus, like, I don't know, like 5 months ago. Imagine if they buy it 5 months ago, and then this happens now. It's like, yes, it's still a big deal, but it just like it had to happen right in the middle of the buyout, which is just completely insane. Completely insane.
$1 million by chess.com, who are the people who released this 72-page dissertation on why Hans cheated online and cheated more than he let on, which is a little bit of a conflict of interest because Magnus is the one who kicked all of this off. Chess.com has refuted that there was any collusion or anything like that, but something that's worth mentioning. My take on it, chess.com knew that he cheated a long time ago. It's not like they just found out that he cheated. They knew how much he cheated when he cheated originally And they tried to
okay,
handle
so let me stop the video for 1 second. So just to go back 1 second, someone's asking an interesting point, or making an interesting point. They're saying, what's my opinion on chess.com giving cheaters so many chances, also willing to let Hans back into the platform? I think there are a couple of things. First of all, you have to understand, I'm going to go way back to the early days. So I think chess.com, they first started, they came onto the scene sometime around 2010, 2011. Now at the time, they were very small. There were a lot of other sites that were bigger, and so the way that they tried to entice people to come over to the site was basically they would offer like $100 if you would play like a very early Title Tuesday or events along those lines. And so they were trying to get the title players to come over to their site. Of course, if you're the best players, inevitably everyone else is going to follow, because that's where the best games are. And so I think from the very start, they were generally, I think, pretty lax about it all. And so it's like when people did cheat and people thought they could get by it and win those little prizes in the tournaments, I think their notion was, okay, well, like we have this policy where we're giving everybody second and third chances just because you're trying to get the title players to come and play on your site. So I think that's a large part of what started their whole policy. And then beyond that, I really think that at the end of the day, I don't know what the situation is, but if I had to bet, if I was a betting man here, I would bet that nobody else has cheated on the scale that Hans Niemann has cheated online. Nobody. I would bet that a lot of GMs have done it like once or twice, and that's it. Whereas Hans did it many, many times over and over and over again. So I think that at the end of the day, it's their policy, it would still probably work until someone starts massively abusing it.
They said, hey, this is a period of time that you'll be banned, and then after you can play. And that's what Hans did. But the moment he was accused of cheating over the board, they kicked him out of any future events. Specifically, they kicked him out of the Global Chess Championship, a $1 million online chess event. But there was no new cheating evidence. There was just an accusation, and then the things that he did that they already punished him for. I don't know. That just felt weird to me. It felt weird to go back on the decision you made. If you choose to handle it privately, if you choose that this should be the punishment, then don't go back on it just because it's a little more public. I can understand maybe doing it because Hans lied about how much he cheated, but it didn't make that much sense to me. Here's what Hans said about it.
It is completely ridiculous. I met with Danny Rensch in Miami, and
Danny Rensch, CEO of chess.com.
Yeah, and also not to stop the video again, but one thing, so I'm sure I'll be talking about this throughout the day. Again, we're going to be playing Arena Kings, doing other stuff as well. But at the end of the day, the way that I read the situation is that when Hans gave this interview and he said he had only cheated 2 times, and he basically was lying about the amount of his cheating, that opened the door, and that made whatever like agreement they had, that made it null and void. So when he came out and he lied about it and he said he only cheated 2 times, then it broke the NDA or whatever legal contract they had signed, and then they were free to basically go and talk about everything because he did not tell the truth.
And Danny Rensch was the person who confronted me, and I was deeply, deeply indebted to him for handling the ban privately and giving me the chance to redeem myself.
But again, they kind of pulled that away after all the over-the-board accusations came out. Now, there's a few key parts of the article and the 72-page dissertation that I want to point out here. First one here.
Okay, so also, like, again, we're going to go through this. Obviously, I don't want to stop every 5 seconds, but just to answer one more last quick point. You're saying, why did they keep giving him chances? Because he was a promising junior. He's a very promising American junior. He was under the age of 18. I think basically at the end of the day, you look at this, I think Danny Rensch tried to be like a father figure. He tried to be too nice. That's how I view it. He tried to be too nice because he was dealing with a kid, and you kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think that's why it got to this point. I really do believe that, actually. And I mean, I feel terrible because it's like you try to do the right thing. Like in all of this, I think if it's Danny Rensch, he's trying to do the right thing. You're trying to give a kid 2nd, 3rd, 4th chances because, of course, Danny also is a father. I think he has like 3 or 4 kids as well. So he's trying to be like that father figure. And then it's like he just keeps cheating. He keeps doing it over and over and over again. So at the end of the day, like, I also feel really, really bad for Danny Rensch in all of this as well.
For player operating in elite circles, a couple more subtle moves in critical spots can be enough to tilt the balance against a world championship. That makes definitively proving allegations of cheating difficult unless a player is caught in the act. Because this is what it feels like most laymen, most people like me who don't know that much about chess, are drawn to. How did he cheat? And until you can find how someone cheated, it's hard for anyone to sign on with the theory that he definitely cheated. Let's ban him. I can't even fathom a way to cheat over the board. So these are a few of the ways: using a phone in a bathroom, wearing an earpiece, receiving signals from someone in the audience. There's never been evidence of Hans doing these things. He's clearly cheated online way more than he admitted to, way more recently than he admitted to. But over the board's a harder place to cheat. And until you can prove that, I feel like it's a separate thing. Although chess.com is a big entity, they don't deal with over-the-board games.
Also true, yes.
This is a few inconsistencies in what Hans said, which is why I think chess.com probably banned him from things. Other than when I was 12, I have never, ever, and I would never do that. That is the worst thing I could ever do. Cheat in a tournament with prize money. He for sure fucking did that. Never when I was streaming did I cheat. Oof. He did that 25 times. Keep in mind, I was 16. I never wanted to hurt anyone. These were random games. I would never, I couldn't even fathom in a real game. He was 17, and he did do it in some pretty serious games. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough when you get caught, and then you have to play this cat and mouse of, oh, you were caught doing this, and then admitting just like a little bit and leaving almost like a breadcrumb trail that we had to follow along. I wish Hans would be more forthcoming about every time he cheated originally. You know, it'd be much easier to be on his side if that was the case. Now, in conclusion, chess.com said, to be clear, it's not our position Hans should be limited or banned from over-the-board chess. Hans' online and over-the-board behaviors may be completely different, and that should be taken into consideration. We shared our findings with FIDE, who's like the largest over-the-board chess overseeing committee, and will cooperate with any investigation or request that they pursue. Kind of feels like another situation where we're going to end off in a standstill.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to take the concrete action of banning him. Nobody wants to take the concrete action of letting him play in every event. And unless something new comes out, which honestly I doubt it at this point, I think that was kind of the final straw that we had, then the camel's back might not be broken. So interesting spot to be in. I think if chess.com was like, oh, this guy was a teenager when he cheated, we should let him get away with cheating and handle it privately, that's fine. But you got to catch him in the act to ban him now. I think that's it. Magnus was probably a little more justified in his cheating accusation.
By the way, you guys, we're going to be running polls today, so make sure to participate.
But that's it. That's it. Let me know what you think. Should he just be outright banned for cheating online? Once a cheater, always a cheater type deal. Let me know. Let me know. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully no more.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to be running polls on the channel. Make sure to participate in them because it's going to pay a bit. If you read Exhibit B, you see how Danny tried to do the right thing. Yeah, so as we saw, the answer was Danny too easy or too hard on Hans? 92% of you guys said too easy. 8% said too hard. So yeah, there's a lot that we're going to be unwrapping throughout the day, obviously, in terms of all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think basically what happened is their policy, I think fundamentally, actually, I think it probably is good, but then it's one of those situations where someone comes along and completely takes advantage of it. It just ruins everything. And now I think the whole policy they had will no longer be like that. I think their policy is going to change. Going forward, but I feel like their policy I think actually was okay, and then it just takes one guy to break the whole system, and then it doesn't and then it's just like you can't do that anymore. So yeah, that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like. I feel like it. I think probably he was too easy, but you're dealing with a kid, you know. Nobody's like being a serial cheater and cheating like 20 times, and so you're trying to give him more chances. So I feel like Danny was justified in what he did at the time. Obviously in retrospect it was a huge mistake, but I think at the time it makes sense that he did that. I do feel like the way he did that, he handled it correctly based on the fact that the way you deal with other people, like these people who've done it like once or twice, I think it actually was right. But then you have someone where boom, it just like it's over and over and over and over again, and that's what it is. So